Everyone, so it's been a day basically since the last UFC fight night, Jared Cannonier versus Caio Barralho, which was an amazing fight, absolutely deserving a fight of the night, and just a great performance from Caio Barralho, great heart and just determination from Jared Cannonier, stayed in there those 5 rounds. Especially he turned around very quick from the Nastya fight, which was a pretty bad stoppage in terms of just way too early. Like Jared Cannonier, yes, he was getting rocked. Yes, he was getting wobbled. Was recovering, was, still fighting. It wasn't like he was turning his back and running and there was no choice but to stop the fight. In this fight, especially in the end of the round, I felt like Dan Miragliotta should have just stopped the fight early because it was brutal in that 5th round. So Jared Cannonier, 2024 has been early stoppage and no stoppage, but pretty late on that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But Caio Barralho, who, when he first entered into the UFC, I could not have given a single fuck about him. I'm being honest with you. I did not really care that much for him. I was just like, oh, that's the Brazilian guy that's got the goofy tattoos, which he still does have goofy ass tattoos. But now I'm aware of him because I'm aware of the Fighting Nerds, which is just slowly becoming like a very prominent just fight team, just with a bunch of these different guys that just keep popping up, and it's very cool to see. And he's definitely the best of them right now that we're seeing, as he's now going to be top 10, most likely, maybe even top 5 at this point of it in there. And in this fight, which he is a predominant grappler, he was not grappling in this fight. He's had some striking performances in his previous fights, but that's mostly been for the Paul Craig fight. It was over quickly, so he didn't really get an opportunity to even use his grappling. In this fight, he had 5 rounds to use it, and he didn't. And people were saying, it was a really competitive fight for him on there against Jared Cannonier. And I'm going, he didn't use all of his abilities. He was only striking, and he clearly won. And that's a scary thought. If you're a middleweight contender right now, I would be afraid of that, because not only is this guy a competent and pretty good striker, he also, that's not even what he's known for. He is known for his grappling. But just anyway of this, first thing I even noticed was just the jab this guy has is unbelievable. He kept finding a jab on fucking Jared Cannonier, kept lighting him up, hitting him there, and then he would follow up with the cross, getting the 1-2. The 1-2 was the best thing he was throwing the entire night, but he kept mixing up. He had some good knees going in there. In the fucking, and also just going back to it, the fucking 1-2, that's what fucking sat down and almost fucking knocked out fucking Jared Cannonier on the spot. I fully believe that Jared Cannonier got knocked out, and then when he hit the ground, he woke back up, which is just insane amount of power thing. He basically, in my opinion, slept him, and then Jared Cannonier basically knocked himself back awake from hitting the ground. So he was still in the fight, but he just kept getting punches thrown at him, and Dan Miragliotta just didn't stop the fight. I would have stopped the fight, took a lot of people of it, but I get Dan Miragliotta. He's known for kind of letting fights go on a bit. It wasn't really brutal or anything. People weren't really screaming it, but on a different ref would stop the fight is what I would say. But just amazing performance. I love the call out. He's calling out the champion, but the issue is winning against Jared Cannonier, who, yes, amazing. That will get him. He is now probably 1 fight away from a title shot. Problem is, Jared Cannonier was on a 1-fight losing streak. Whether or not you thought he should have, it should have been a finish on that, which it shouldn't have been a finish against Nastya, even if I think Nastya was going to win the fight. Doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. But that one win, which I think is his only top 10 win, because I don't remember where Paul Craig was. Paul Craig might have just been outside of the top 15, or actually probably near the bottom. But you get the idea. And then, in my opinion, because he called out Dricus du Plessis, which, if this was the UFC middleweight division of Israel Adesanya's title reign, he would have been given the title shot. But since we now kind of have not necessarily a logjam, but we have some people who are more prominent, like Sean Strickland, who was, he won his comeback fight of it, had the closest fight with Dricus du Plessis anyone has had in the UFC. Some people argue he won. That's not really important right now, but get the idea. So he's next up, I believe is what Dana said A lot of fans are saying that. And then you have the winner of Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. Whoever wins that fight is most likely being given the title shot, because Robert Whittaker, 2-fight win streak currently, has done a lot of good stuff. He beat the guy that I just named the guy, but he beat the guy that Sean Strickland's coming off a win of in Paulo Costa, so he did that before him. He beat Ikram Aliskerov, which, yeah, short notice, unranked, but he stepped up against a pretty risky, kind of a different style. If he gets dude hit hard, so if he would have gotten KO'd of it, that probably would just ended Robert Whittaker's entire hopes of getting another title shot of it, and he just KOs him. He makes quick work of him like a fucking Chad. And then if he beats Khamzat Chimaev, who at one point was hyped up as the biggest boogeyman, despite still being undefeated, a lot of people still don't view him anywhere near the same as they used to. But if Khamzat Chimaev does beat Robert Whittaker and does it impressively, they're going to give him a title shot. UFC will want this guy as a champion, is all I can say. So those are those two contenders that I know a lot of people will name as more relevant than Caio Barralho. But I think Caio Barralho is one fight away, and honestly, I could see them either giving him the winner or loser of freaking Brendan Allen and Nasrina Mavov, because I do also see them possibly giving the winner or whatever that fight is, Israel Adesanya. But now that I think about it, I actually don't really agree with what I just previously said about them possibly giving Nasrina Mavov, Brendan Allen winner, Israel Adesanya. Fuck it, give whoever wins that a title shot if they turn around quick enough, or actually it depends. But if Caio Barralho beats Israel Adesanya, or just fights him, let's just say a fight between that's fucking exciting. If we get Israel Adesanya, who I don't really like Israel Adesanya, I've never been a big fan of him. I think he is heavily overrated in terms of striking, his level of competition of it. I think he's just not that good in terms of how people hype him up and the narrative of him. The narrative that people say for him is what I saw what a good portion of what I saw in his fight with Dricus du Plessis, and he still managed to lose to Dricus du Plessis, which is scary. But if that Israel Adesanya shows up to fight freaking Caio Barralho, that's a fucking fight of the night, hands down, because Caio Barralho, who and necessarily doesn't really hit the hardest. He's been getting more finishes recently, but he isn't a predominant finisher. As the start of his career, he just did not have finish. I think his first 4 fights he went without a freaking a knockdown or a freaking finish, so it wasn't the best to see. But he's now kind of changed the narrative, and I'm excited because he can at least put on impressive and decently entertaining performances even without a finish. But now he's finishing guys. He's dropping them. He's making it a fucking war and looking very technical. I want to fucking see that fight, and I honestly think Caio Barralho can fucking beat Israel Adesanya, because this dude is willing to kind of, go to war a bit more than Israel Adesanya. He's younger than Israel Adesanya, decent striking, and the fact that he went to freaking war and managed to still, dominantly, in my opinion, beat Jared Cannonier without using his fucking best weapons, which is his grappling. That's scary for anyone, because if you were I don't think he looked that good in the striking. Okay, he's gonna fucking grapple Israel Adesanya, and you're not gonna know. And then not only does Israel Adesanya have to worry about the grappling, he's gonna worry about that to the point where he's gonna get freaking hit with strikes. He might get finished. Most likely, will probably just go to a decision, but it'd be entertaining, and that's the fight I want to see. But anyways, that's really all for me. I just wanted to talk about this card, and just as the final thing for the video, I kind of want to, after each of these cards, I'm going to talk about the main event, or if there's a more important fight of it, they give Raquel Pennington versus anybody, I guess, of that. I'm probably going to skip that, but if there's a more interesting fight that happened, or event that happened on there, I'll probably talk about that. But I'm going to try and do that, upload more of it, just kind of get that here, because we have some pretty interesting fights coming up here that I'm interested. Sean O'Malley versus Rob Dvalishvili is going to be soon, and I feel like that's going to be a fucking awesome fight. I can't wait for the build-up to that, the fight week. Rest of the card isn't that interesting, but that main event is what I'm fucking waiting for. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Hope you enjoyed the fight. What do you think of the fighting nerds? Is all I can say. Bye.